On this Veterans Day, we have a great story for you.
It is about a local Purple Heart recipient and his orthopedic surgeon. WXI 12's Kenny Beck joins us in the newsroom right now.
Kenny, tell us what makes this specific story so special.
Well, there were plenty of doctors who said they would not operate on Ronald Hope's shoulder because it was in such bad shape. But when a fellow veteran doctor heard about him, he said, absolutely, I can fix it. And he was right. Brian Waterman and Ronald Hope have a bond that's deeper than just doctor-patient. They're also both Army veterans, and that means something special.
It's family that you take care of.
He knows that I have his back.
Unfortunately, a lot of bad things had to happen for these two men to even meet. Ronald grew up in West Texas near Webb Air Force Base in the 50s and 60s.
You get up early, you go to work, hope that the draft doesn't get you that day because you know it's going to eventually.
Eventually came in 1967. He knew he wanted to fly, and the only way to do that without a college degree was through the Army. So he did 9 months of helicopter training, and by January of 1969, he was stationed in Vietnam. July 15th of that year changed his life forever.
We would insert troops either out in the field or into an LZ, and then we would fly logistics, dust off whatever we needed to support them. We'd been flying all morning, so we had to refuel, so we went back. The last thing really that I absolutely remember is hearing a real loud noise and the aircraft starting to vibrate. Next thing I knew, I woke up in hospital in Long Bend, Vietnam.
The enemy shot his combat assault unit out of the sky. Ronald lost 3 crew members and suffered burns to 60% of his body. He was sent back to Texas to recover, and at the age of 21, doctors had to amputate his left arm.
I knew I was never going to fly again, not for the military anyway.
After finishing college, a friend helped him get a job with DAV, Disabled American Veterans. By 1987, he was transferred to Winston-Salem.
Working with the veteran community was what I wanted to do, and I did it for 35 years.
He also continued to fly as a private pilot, but over the years his right arm, and specifically his right shoulder, got worse and worse from injury and overuse.
There were times when I could not put my headset on because I couldn't lift my arm.
Watching him decline and stop being able to do the things that he enjoyed in life, one of those being flying, really hurt and was challenging to see it happening.
Rhonda Shannon is Ronald's daughter and nurse manager for surgical services at Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist. She knew Dr. Waterman was an orthopedic surgeon and an Army veteran. Rhonda was hoping he would be willing to do something other docs were not, perform a 4th major surgery on her dad's bad shoulder.
When we first arranged a meeting, I knew that we had some challenges ahead of us.
Military surgeons don't have a choice. When they're in the military, whatever comes in on that gurney, they got to work on.
We had a very complex deformity. We had to plan this out, look at several different permutations of what would be safe.
My shoulder was not the prettiest thing in the world, and if he hadn't been as good as he is, I may not have ever had to use it again.
We performed a reverse shoulder replacement, and that's where we anchor a new socket into the scapula. We place a ball around that, and that inverts the architecture of the shoulder.
I've got back way more function than I had after the first rotator cuff surgery.
It's phenomenal. We spend lots of time together doing the things that I've watched him do it his entire life.
He's a military hero, and I really wanted to do our best to get him back to the highest level of function.
Ronald had that surgery about 1.5 years ago, April of 2024. He is 77 now and still flies for fun. He told me he will know when it's time to stop.